devastating storm in 1997, only an 8-mile stretch of the route remains in operation. Still, it remains one of the most impressively designed railways in the world, and for almost 90 years kept the country connected. Number 8. The Death Railway. The frighteningly named Death Railway, which locally is known as the Burma Railway, is a route between Ban Pong in Thailand and Danbiziet in Burma. It passes through luscious terrain, crosses the notorious bridge over River Kwai, and navigates the Hellfire Pass in the Tenasserim Hills. But for all its beauty and majesty, this railway has a dark past. It's not called the Death Railway because it's dangerous to travel now, but because of the extreme human sacrifice involved in constructing it. It was built by the Empire of Japan during the Second World War, and they used laborers and prisoners of war to complete the work. In total, as many as 25,000 locals and 61,000 prisoners were used, and they were treated so terribly and kept in such awful conditions that more than 100,000 of them died. The track is lined with graves, and in some of the particularly difficult regions to build, the death rate of workers is believed to be as high as 50%. Following the war, 111 Japanese officials involved in overseeing the project were tried and found guilty for war crimes, with 32 of them given the death penalty. But so far no reparations have ever been offered to the survivors or the families of the victims. Number 7. White Pass and Yukon Railroad. The White Pass and Yukon Railroad is a rail link between the Alaskan port of Skagway and Whitehorse, which is the capital of the Yukon. Unusually, it's completely independent and has no links to the rest of the rail network, and was originally built at the turn of the 20th century to grant workers access to the goldfields. It's 107 miles long, and as well as carrying gold seekers, it became the main way to access the interior of the Yukon. It became an important connective route through the region for the next 82 years before it was closed due to falling passenger numbers. Several years later, it was reopened as a heritage railway, and to this day remains a popular tourist attraction, providing a comfortable way to travel through the region and see the stunning countryside. Only the first 68 miles as far as Carcross remains operational, however, due to wear and tear and a lack of maintenance of the rest of the track. So those wanting to go all the way to Whitehorse have to resort to more traditional methods. Number 6. Pilatus Railway, Switzerland. Switzerland's Pilatus Railway is what connects Lake Lucerne with the towns on the other side of Mount Pilatus. To do this, engineers had to develop unique systems to help the cars ascend the slopes, and it's the steepest railway in the world by quite some margin. The 2.86-mile-long track reaches a height of 6,801 feet, and due to the strains put on the trains to travel along it, they can only manage a top speed of 6.2 miles per hour, which also makes it one of the slowest railway lines in the world. Trains first traversed the track in 1889, when they were steam-powered, and it would only be in 1937 that it would be electrified. The cables that power the trains are also used to provide electricity to the towns that it serves, and it's a vital lifeline to all the communities that live on the mountain. So impressive is the design that in 2001, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers named it a historical mechanical engineering landmark, and it was built so well that the rails used today are the same ones that were installed more than 100 years ago. Number 5. Maeklong Railway Market. The Maeklong Railway connects the 42 miles between Wangwen Yai in Bangkok with Samut Songkram in the center of Thailand, and was opened in 1904. Designers faced a major hurdle with the planned route, however, because it passes through a region where the economy relies on trade in seafood, and there was no choice but to lay the tracks straight through the center of one of the largest seafood markets in the country. This didn't deter the vendors though, and they still sell their goods from the same place to this day. They set up their stalls and produce, but when a train approaches, they have to quickly put it all down so it can pass. Fortunately, trains aren't very frequent, and they can be heard long before they reach the market. which gives everyone plenty of time to coolly and calmly move out of the way. It's had the effect of making this one of the most unusual markets in the world, and it's now a tourist attraction in its own right, for people who have to see it to believe it. Number 4. The NS&W Railroad. When you think of a railway line, you envision